Hey guys, so this is our first episode, so please be kind. We did try this a couple of months ago, but it was really awkward and we didn't feel too comfortable. So we're starting off slow, starting without video, and then maybe later on we will add that back in.
Yeah, it might help when we maybe go to a studio or something, make so it's not our
Apartment.
apartment. So the first episode is all about why chicks never build muscle. So with your experience being a chick and all of your clients being women, what do you feel as though has led to this uh, overall social pressure of having to be skinny over building muscle?
I think it stems from growing up. A lot of us have been told, the skinnier we are, the better we are, and just, I guess, the smaller we are. So then I think a lot of women think that if they gain muscle that they'll look bulky, and it's just a fear that they have. I think it is slowly changing, which is really, really good. A lot more of the athletic look is, I guess, becoming in fashion, and just looking strong is becoming more appealing, which is really, really good to see.
Yeah, I agree. I think for all of the few powerlifting meets that we've been to, the amount of women present is incredible, and they all look fantastic. They're all super jacked, super strong, really confident, and watching these women progress with their lifts and stuff like that, and also again just start to have a much better relationship with food is really, really good to see. So, what do you think has led to them being scared of being in a surplus? And where do you feel like that they sort of go wrong with getting into a nice, comfortable, long-term surplus?
I think a lot of women are just, they're even too scared to eat maintenance calories because they think they'll gain weight, which is ridiculous, hence the term maintenance. If they're really on maintenance, they just maintain their weight. They'd actually feel much stronger compared to how they feel in a deficit because they're actually fueling themselves decently, I guess. So yeah, a lot of women are just stuck living in a deficit just because of that fear. They think carbs make them fat or things like that. So, they do just try and stay small, which is quite sad.
Yeah, and I think it's partly we're trying to change the trend of it. I try not to use words like bulk or mass gaining or anything like this. It's just sort of like old school terms that have come from bodybuilding, which is predominantly male, which is, I think, sort of taken a bad side to women thinking that, yes, like you said, they're going to get fat, they're going to, look really bulky, they're going to turn into Ronnie Coleman overnight. And it's kind of sad to see because you see some women who are just perpetually stuck in a deficit. Maybe they'll build for 2 weeks or whatever you've sort of seen, and then from there they do another cut and they just end up not probably getting to their full potential of where their physique could go. What are some of the strategies that you've found in sort of getting them out of that cycle?
Yeah, it's definitely about education as well. Showing them that they can't build the muscle that they want while they're underfeeding themselves. Taking a long term approach as well, just to minimize how much fat gain happens because it is inevitable that you will gain a little bit, but obviously, the more controlled and long term that we make the improvement phase, the less of those things will happen.
Now, we've sort of spoken a lot about nutrition and calorie surplus and deficits and things like that. What do you think about the training programs? Like, do you find having a structured program, getting them away from doing the cardio and the excessive group classes? Like, what experiences have you found with yourself from doing those classes and now being a bit more focused in the gym?
Yeah, so most women, when they first join the gym, they'll go straight to the cardio machines or group fitness because they really have no idea what to do. Those classes are great initially just to, get you meeting people, but they don't really follow any progressive overload methods, I guess. Following a structured program tailored to your goal or the areas that you're trying to build is going to give you the best result, as well as actually lifting a decent amount of weight. A lot of women, or even in the group fitness classes, you know, they only pick the light weights, which unfortunately probably do nothing. They don't create enough stimulus for the muscles that we're actually trying to grow. So, you know, ideally, if we want to build any sort of muscle, we need to be eating a decent amount of food, and then obviously creating enough stimulus via your training load and intensity to drive muscle growth.
Very well said. Now, one of the main things is when we're building, we start to feel a bit fluffy. We're not really sort of happy with the way with the way that we look. We tend to lose a lot of our definition depending on how how quickly we're manipulating calories. What are some of the techniques that you've used when, you know, yourself or the women you work with start to get a bit uncomfortable?
Yeah, so tracking data is number one. We want to continuously take progress photos, measurements on the areas that we're trying to grow as well, just to make sure that we are trending, you know, the way we want to. Obviously, the scale weight is going to go up, but we just need to remind ourselves that that is our long-term goal. You know, yes, clothes are going to feel a bit tighter, things like that. You know, get some new clothes. Don't try squeeze into clothes that make you feel shit. So, you know, it's another reason to get another wardrobe, you know, get you motivated again. Also having like a performance-based goal or strength goals are really, really handy, so that you just focus on those and, you know, hitting the numbers and how you feel at the gym and your performance rather than how you look.
Yeah, again, I think that really leads into, you know, you are going to, like myself and both Leiana, we're both going through builds at the moment. We're both feeling a little bit uncomfortable. You know, buying yourself some oversized pump covers, as they're called, just to sort of cover up a little bit, I've definitely found has helped myself to stay a bit more focused in the gym, as opposed to, you know, wearing a singlet and, you know, short shorts where it's, you know, showing off a bit more of definition and stuff like that. When you are shredded, it is a bit, you know, uncomfortable. So I tend to cover up a little bit when I'm, you know, building, because it does affect you mentally. You know, you sort of remember and what you sort of look like. You look at old photos, but you just have to realize that this is part of the process. If you want to get better, and most athletes, they want to get better, you know, you really have to. Everything has a negative effect to get to a sort of a positive outcome. So this is unfortunately one of them. And definitely, like Leiana said, is progress photos are imperative, because this is going to show you if you are putting on too much size too quickly. You're able to sort of manipulate your calories and make sure that you're still staying relatively lean, you know, throughout this build. And, you know, like again, Leiana said, is the more time that you give yourself, the better results going to be, and the less work that is going to be required at the end of it, as far as cutting, because you've done this in such a slow way. That you are feeling, you know, confident. You understand that the scale is showing probably a bit more muscle gain than it is fat, and, you know, you're really just going to dominate that next sort of shred with, you know, more muscle.
Definitely. And yeah, just focusing on the bigger picture, the long-term picture, and just remembering that change doesn't happen in your comfort zone.
Absolutely. Fuck yeah. I love that. It's a great saying. And, you know, it's something that I guess we're really starting to push now with everyone on Grounded Strength, is just the level of intensity, and that, you know, not participating. It's now like, let's fucking dominate in what we're doing with our training, because it's all too easy to sort of just fluff along and not get the results that you want. When you really turn up that dial, that's where all that sort of, you know, huge amount of change really does happen.
Yeah, so hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you gained some tips. Please give us some feedback. Any questions, any topics you want us to cover, leave them in the comments.
Yeah, so most of the podcast that we're going to be doing now is really going to be focusing on this build, because in our opinion, cutting is really easy.
Yeah.
It's just about how long you can suffer for as far as cutting. If you do a long build, it's really building the foundation for you to be a better athlete, to be more confident, to be stronger, to build more muscle mass. There's so many more positives in building than there is cutting. So we're really going to really dive in deep with everything about building, along with mentality, along with how to manipulate food and all sorts of different things. But, you know, it's like Leiana said, if you've got any questions, chuck them in the comments section. Make sure you follow us both on Instagram as well as the Grounded Strength page. They'll be in the description. And yeah, you know, follow along for, hopefully each episode doesn't get as clunky as the next, because we're getting better at it as well. It's, you know, one of those things that we're building confidence in, you know, building a somewhat non-robotic conversation. So again, yeah, any feedback is great. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.